Well, hello there, welcome to the Obi Thorn Alliance. I'm Jacob.
I'm Luke.
And in today's video, very pumped for this video, doing a review for Spider-Man No Way Home. If you can, like and subscribe, it helps out the channel a lot. Give a thumbs up, hit the notification bell. We'll be doing a non-spoiler part for the movie, so when you go and watch it, you're not spoiled for the crazy bits and really good action moments. So basically the summary for the movie is that it's a story about redemption and choices, and Peter Parker from Spider-Man No Far From Home, basically his identity is revealed, and then people, some people on Mysterio's side, some people like Peter Parker and them basically coping with the life that people know who he is. So basically from the trailers, he goes to Doctor Strange for help, and then the spell, kind of the MacGuffin of how things happen kind of start, and then we get this awesome packed movie. What's your thoughts about the movie, Luke?
Oh, it was my most anticipated movie of the year, and it exceeded the expectations. I think what the trailer set us up to think what it was about was so much less than what it really was about. I think it had the trailer didn't mislead us, but it was better than what the trailer made it out to be. And yeah, it just didn't disappoint. It ticked all the boxes you hoped it would. It had right amount of action, had a good amount of story. It was funny, which is again a trait of Marvel, but very much a trait of Spider-Man. They try to make this Spider-Man very playful and funny. He's younger than his other superhero counterparts. There isn't much to dislike about it. I think the cameos of the super villains were great. I think just everything you went in expecting the movie produced, really. There's obviously a lot of things we want to talk about that are spoilers that we won't discuss here, but there's nothing to dislike about this movie. If you're expecting it to be great, it's going to be great. If you don't expect anything of it, you're going to be well blown out of the water because it's amazing.
Yeah.
Before we move into kind of talking further into the discussion and a bit more spoilery stuff and specific things that happen, what kind of rating would you give this movie, and what would Marvel or non-Marvel fans expect? Like, are they expecting this to be their favourite movie or the best movie they've ever seen, or are they gonna be like, oh, Spider-Man, who cares?
Well, I would say if you love Spider-Man, you're going to be blown away and absolutely love this movie. And if you're a Marvel fan, same thing. It's, having all the Easter eggs and just conversations and everything in the movie, you're going to love it. And someone that doesn't even like Marvel, I think the story of redemption and trying to, have consequence with your choices, that's the main message of the movie, and I think the story is actually surprising, better than what I was expecting, and the ride is well worth it. And even though there are problems, they're kind of still things that you go, well, did you enjoy the experience? And I would say yes. There's one thing that I'll get into in the spoilers part with how there's a problem with how the trailer does something, but it has nothing against the movie, it's just more the marketing side. So with the verdict, I'm going to give my first 5 of the year, going to give it an awesome 5 out of 5.
I totally agree. I think it's a very fair rating. I'm giving it a 5 also. As soon as I walked out of the movie, I said it was the best movie I've seen all year, maybe the most satisfying movie I've ever seen. That's not to say it's the best movie ever made. satisfied. It's exactly what I wanted. It wasn't too long. It wasn't too short. It didn't have mindless story arcs. It didn't have pointless characters. It had all the cameos. It had everything you wanted it to have, and it just didn't disappoint. And it's just led on to future films as well. It ties in characters. It's just so many things it does perfect, and that's why I think it's a 5. I think Marvel fans will agree that it's the best. Spider-Man fans will be definitely not disappointed. Those that are on the fence with Marvel films, I think will find something to like in it, but they may not appreciate the cameos as much as those that are Spider-Man fans, and you do really need to have seen the other movies to make anything of it, especially the Tom Holland movies, because you wouldn't understand why people dislike Peter Parker. So it's kind of, you need to have seen that, which makes it as a standalone not exceptional, but if you've seen them, then you can't help but love it. So yep, a 5 for me. Let's move into some spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, please don't continue on, because it will ruin the movie for you. Let's talk about the most obvious part. So we got what we wanted. We got the Spider-Man's return that everyone was hoping, kind of theorized would happen, and they kept it as a very well kept secret, but we got it.
Yeah. Did you like how they got brought into the movie? Basically, Ned used Doctor Strange's his ring, even though Doctor Strange did some training with it, but he brought them in. And how was your audience reaction to that? Did they react more to Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker or Tom Holland?
I think there was a bigger clap for Andrew Garfield, but purely because he was the first one revealed. Yeah. I just think they gave a bigger clap because, like, yeah, they're going to do it. And then you knew Tobey Maguire was coming in, so maybe that's why there was less of a clap. But yeah, there was a noticeable reaction. People stood up, they clapped, they went overboard for this. I don't know if I felt the same, because I kind of just knew. I thought it was going to happen.
Well, like I said in the spoiler-free discussion, unfortunately, the marketing side gave it away in the trailer, because it was pretty obvious that they got rid of the 2 other Spider-Mans when Tom Holland's Spider-Man was going after villains. It's like, that's the main problem that I have with the movie, is that why show us in the trailer when you're trying to hide it? It's like, we're not silly.
Yeah. I saw the same scene, and I could see where they'd removed them in the trailer or the poster, but
yeah.
You know, they don't want to give it away. It was a well-kept secret. Everyone thought it was going to happen, but they did keep it a secret. It was nice how they introduced them, you know. It really changes everything for movies moving forward, because it kind of can answer as to why they recast, because they go, well, we didn't recast, this is a different universe. And it just worked well to bring them all together, because it makes you... It's the first movie I can think of where they've combined these... like recasting of characters, and it's worked. And, you know, just the way it came about, the way they had their own unique powers. They asked questions and made it funny. Like, they talked about how Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man could generate the webs from internally, and the other 2 required like science and canisters to do it. So they did a good job of that. Yeah. There was just lots of, you know, they didn't leave anything unturned. They even make reference to Miles Morales in it. Yeah. They talk about their different versions of MJ, and they confide over the death of Uncle Ben, and it's just, it ticked every box you wanted it to do. There was nothing missing. It had every Easter egg you wanted possibly in it.
Did you like how Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker kept saying, oh, you're amazing, you're amazing?
Yeah, it's funny. He kept referring to Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man as amazing. I also like how Andrew saved MJ in this film when she was falling, where in his own film we're unsure of whether he saved her or not. I think we assume she died from what he said, but there's just a lot to like about it. The twist, well, not the twist, but from the trailer it made out that the movie was going to be about them capturing these villains and returning them, which it was, but it was more. So what did it end up coming about in the end?
Basically, we get all the villains that we see in the trailer, and then Peter's like, oh, we need to, basically listening to Doctor Strange, no, we need to send them back to basically their universes, their movies, and then Aunt May basically says, oh, we need to help them, we need to try and fix them. And that's basically the scene that we see in the trailer when Doctor Strange sends his body out, his soul out of his own body, so that's why they had that fight.
Yeah, but I like how it moves from Spider-Man going, well, we send them back and ultimately they die in their own universe, but he goes, well, we can save them, we can fix them, so he actually captured them quite easily. It was the saving of them which then led to the demise, because they created drama and escaped, and then he had to fight them, and that's when he got the other Spider-Mans to help out. I just think it was a really cool premise. It was better than just trying to capture them, but trying to save them was better. So then we're left with the thought that they've gone back to their universes and they're not dead anymore. They just have their powers back, but I guess they may have still died. We don't know.
Don't know. Who was your favourite villain's performance out of the villains that we got?
I think Dr. Ock was. I think because he was also helpful. He was the only one that wasn't really... He put up the most fuss in the beginning, but then he came around to helping. Like, he wanted to help people, because deep down Dr. Ock is a good guy, but his tentacles take over his mind in the end. So he himself isn't corrupt. He's just in a bad situation, so I think they did a good job of resolving that. Who was your favourite Spider-Man out of the three in this film?
We've been more on a journey with Tom Holland, but it was cool seeing Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, it was nice to see him come back, and especially like a bit older too. It just had a lot of funny scenes in it, and yeah, he was behind a lot of them. We got other things we expected, like them all standing around and they're all pointing at each other, like the picture and the meme we see online. The funny scenes where they're calling for Peter and they're all answering as they're all Peter. And then trying to explain how MJ is someone different in each of their multiverses. It just, doesn't leave anything missing to me. There's nothing that's unexplained. Is there any other villains you would have liked to have seen in there, maybe?
I guess maybe one of Tom Holland's villains, but he already dealt with his, so we basically got Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield villains.
What do you think about the way the end credits scenes have set it up now that we're certain that that this is how Venom is going to be introduced into his multiverse, and it's not going to take away the fact that, because everyone wonders, like, when is the Venom from the Venom movies going to fight Tom Holland? The answer is never, because there are different multiverses, but now he's introduced a bit of symbiote into his universe, so now we will get probably the evil Venom that isn't the anti-hero that we see in the Venom movies.
Guess it'll be cool, but for people that only watch the Marvel movies, it's quite a lot of, like, the problem with seeing the Marvel shows and the Marvel TV shows, it's quite a lot of connections.
Yeah, there's, like, you watch it and you may not know that, like, the scene where he gets a lawyer and it's Daredevil, a lot of people wouldn't know that. I haven't seen Daredevil, but I knew that Daredevil was a lawyer that was blind, so I knew from the way he reacted when the brick got thrown in, but I would not have known otherwise, so I think a lot of people that could have went astray. What was your favourite part of the movie?
It has to be when all the Spider-Mans were together.
Yeah. I think for me, maybe that, but just a bit soon. Like, I think the reveal of when we saw Andrew Garfield. Not that he was my favourite, it's just that's when we knew that Tobey Maguire was coming in. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
So that changed everything for me. That was my favourite scene. What do you think the next movie is going to be about?
Doctor Strange.
No, the next Spider-Man movie.
I guess Spider-Man becoming a man, and I guess kind of taking on crime and kind of being independent. No one knows who he is, so it ended quite well. Like, you would like to see him be with MJ, but it kind of needed to end like that, and I would assume they added Venom in there so they would eventually fight each other, so I guess he's fighting against Venom.
Do you think that I feel like maybe Aunt May needed to die, because if everyone's going to forget who Peter Parker is, he can't have his auntie not remember who he is. Do you think they've done that in a way now that he can separate himself from the Avengers? Like, do you think that that's like a Sony Marvel like move where now he's been in the Avengers movies, now he can have his own separate movies and he just doesn't cross paths because he only fights at a local level and no one knows who Spider-Man is? Or do you think eventually people will remember him, or maybe like Doctor Strange will find a way to make everyone remember Spider-Man again or something? Or...
Guess we'll see how real world events affect the storyline.
Yeah, because I find it hard that they can all just forget who Peter Parker is, but they can remember who Spider-Man is. I think that's really odd. Like, wouldn't it have made sense to make people just forget who Spider-Man is, but not forget who Peter Parker is? So then they'd be like, Spider-Man, never heard of the guy, but everyone knows who Peter Parker. Like, his friends should still know Peter Parker. Like, I thought that would have made more sense, but instead he made the world forget Spider-Man. So, I don't know.
Did you find the reason why he wanted the spell convincing? Because in the trailer we didn't really find out. Eventually when we found out the reason, because they couldn't get into college, that was the reason. When we find out, even Doctor Strange was like, oh, you can call them and ask permission. Was that enticing enough, or?
Yeah, I think it's fun. It goes to show the immaturity of Spider-Man. I think we needed that. So that's cool. I guess it gives it more, shows he's being selfless again. He doesn't care if people hate him. He just doesn't want his friends to suffer the consequences. I still feel like he would have got into a college, as if you wouldn't want Spider-Man at your college. Yeah. Unless they were afraid that with Spider-Man comes villains. Yeah, I don't know if I believe that wouldn't get him into a fancy school just because of possibly what he's done. Like, he's still an Avenger.
And I guess we got to talk about William Dafoe's performance as the Green Goblin. How do you think about that?
Oh, it's great. The Green Goblin is a really like evil character, you know, like his mind's been taken over and he just is kind of reckless. He's almost similar to like a Joker in a way. He just doesn't care about pain, doesn't care about other people. He just wants and he kind of like plays mind games with the person he's taking on, which is Spider-Man usually. And
what do you think were those creatures or beings or things that were coming through, like the universe that Doctor Strange was coming?
I guess there were other people coming from other multiverses, so I'm sure if you paused it, you could probably make out some of the characters, and they're probably villains from Spider-Man comics that we may not even know of. But I'm sure they would have been. You could make out what they were, I would say.
Did you buy that Ned was able to do the portal to bring the two Spider-Mans in, and then when he needed or had pressure, he couldn't, but that basically happened so we could have that action scene?
Yeah, I don't not buy it. I guess Ned doesn't know if he actually has powers or even how to control it. Like, is he magical like he thinks his family is, or is he just... Or does the ring allow anyone to be magical? I don't know.
Don't know.
So, it's a nice setup, but I guess that may never go anywhere because he doesn't remember Peter Parker. But does he remember being with Doctor Strange? And does he remember having the ring? I don't know. Where does it end? Erasing of memories is one thing that's hard to wrap your head around in a movie because it's like, what are the repercussions?
And did you like Doctor Strange in this movie? Because I know as a character, I believe you like him. Out of all the Avengers, you like Black Panther and Doctor Strange at least. Did you like him in this movie?
Oh, he was fine in it. I just find him arrogant. But yeah, he was good in this role. Did you notice how when they were putting the Captain America shield on the Statue of Liberty in this movie? But then in Hawkeye, they made reference to it.
Yeah, like the second Statue of Liberty.
Yeah. The latest episode of Hawkeye, they mention about saying, "Oh, I really want to go see the Statue of Liberty, especially with the new modifications they've made to upgrades." So I'm assuming that's reference to the shield. But it's interesting to see where it all fits in, like the timeline of each movie and show. So, but yeah, great movie.
So we do get an ending credit scene, and it's more of a trailer than anything. Does it make you look forward to the second Doctor Strange? Because I know you don't like the first one.
No, I do. I think it will look good. I think the first Doctor Strange was like, I just didn't buy how he became powerful. But I think now that he has his powers, he's a more interesting character than his origin story was. So I think the new movie will be good because it tampers with the multiverse. We get Scarlet Witch or Black Widow come back in, and then we possibly get to see Doctor Strange fighting multiple other evil Doctor Stranges, which is kind of what Kang warned Loki of, that there would be more Kangs that would come looking for him, so that's the reason why he does what he has to do. So, yeah, it's quite cool. I am looking forward to it.
Where does this rank in your, out of all the Spider-Man movies, is this your favourite Spider-Man movie?
Yeah, definitely. My favourite Spider-Man movie. It's my favourite Marvel movie, I think.
Okay, then...
Yeah, I think it's my favourite Marvel movie. I think Spider-Man already had like maybe 2 or 3, like 2 movies that were in my top 5 anyway. So I'm a fan of Spider-Man.
And do you have any nitpicks, like with me, how they kind of already gave away that the 2 Spider-Man were there in the trailer, or...?
No, I think it all linked in pretty well. Maybe the fact that whatever Doctor Strange gave him on his arm, how easily it could just take the villains and put them in like a prison. That seems a bit simple, but I guess they're fighting in a different universe than what Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield's Spider-Mans were, because they struggled against these villains, but it seems like the powers in the current world, like Tom Holland's world, find them quite easy to defeat because they've fought people like Thanos and other beings that are much more powerful. So,
did you like that reference to Thanos, the eye for the purple alien?
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, you went to space? Wow."
Yeah.
There's just like, it was a very funny movie. Cool. I don't have anything else to add. There's no nitpicks. I think it's a perfect 5 out of 5.
Well, thank you for helping, Luke. Hope you enjoyed the Spider-Man video. Hope you enjoy it when you have time to see it at the cinemas. Let the force be with you. Bye-bye.